Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Reload, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored to be joined today by Brad Limperopulos, the president of the International Association of Movers. Brian, how are you doing today? It's so good to have you here.
I'm doing much better now that my name is Brad. It's a cooler name. I think it's like the vibe I want to give off is more Brad than Brian. So I think I'm just gonna roll with it.
Anybody born in the 80s wanted to be Brad. Honestly,
Sure.
Brad drove a Camaro, hung out on the beach, surfed. So I think we're all achieving our dreams today. Get in the comments here, hit that like button. I want to know who you are, where you are, what the heck you're up to today. Are you jazzed about the IAM conference coming up this year? I'm super pumped about it. Where is it? Where is it, Brian?
Las Vegas this year. We're gonna be our conference theme this year, Ben, is we're going all in Las Vegas. So
all in, like pushing the chips in. We're just
right.
like
That's
all
right.
in.
A little nod to the history of Vegas, but also kind of a little nod to our, what we're trying to do at the International Association of Movers to serve our members in the industry. So really looking forward to Vegas this year. Cosmopolitan Hotel is
love it.
Awesome.
It's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous hotel. If you have not been to the Cosmo, do we call it the Cosmo? Or is that just a drink?
Let's go. It's easier.
If you haven't been to the Cosmo in Vegas on the Strip, the chandelier bar is incredible. Multi-story kind of bar that has this like kind of staircase going up around, around it, and this massive chandelier in the middle. It's kind of the ultimate networking bar.
Yeah, it's a very unique bar. My wife loved it. She loved the special secret cocktail, the verbena, that she could get there. And if you're there in October, order the verbena. It's a very unique experience. But yeah, I mean, that place has everything under one roof that you need to have a great time, to have a great conference. The one thing that I want to emphasize today, though, if you've been to the Cosmopolitan and you've stayed in the Cosmopolitan, that marquee nightclub does go late. And I just want to confirm that our entire room block is in the other tower, where you don't hear it going until 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, bumping all night. So if you're worried about that, we got a room block in the other tower where you don't hear the nightclub. So just want to communicate.
Can you choose if you want the party tower or the sleepy tower?
I'm sure we could talk to the hotel to see if we could get a small block, the Ben Cross block. In the I can't remember the name of the other.
Because now I'm thinking about, if I'm coming back from the marquee at 3 a.m, I got to walk to the sleepy tower over there, and I might just want to sleep in the lobby.
It's a really far walk to get back to your room, though, Ben.
I need like a go-kart or something, like a little. Yeah, no,
a little segue.
Is there a golf cart sponsor, like someone hanging outside the marquee around 3 o'clock in the morning? Maybe the Glomo cart's there. We could just safely get people back to their room.
We did not think about the golf cart sponsor, and I might have to call in a late minute addition to the prospectus for this.
I'm excited about this. Get in the comments. I want to know what questions you have for Brian. Hit that like button. Let everybody know we're live here. We got people joining us on the LinkedIn right now. People are checking in. What's up, Sandra Clary checking in, says it will be movers closing it down.
That's right, Sandra. I like the attitude.
And he says a little too gloomy. You're not talking about Vegas, Ann, are you? You're talking about Dallas, probably. Adrian, good to see you. Glomo HQ checking in from all of a sudden gloomy. Yeah. Nice. Megan Harless checking in. Megan, are you going to be there in Vegas? I want to know. Sandra, you going to be there? Tim's like the guy hanging outside the conference expo hall right before the doors open, and they're just banging like barbarians at the gate. Like, I want some moving software. I need to talk to the box guy. Let me in.
Tim's great. I saw Tim a few days ago in Hawaii, down at the California Moving and Storage Association. So, big supporter of IAM. Love Tim, love Sandra, love all the folks who are already commenting.
Jana Chazanowski checking in from Brazil. That's another thing I cannot overstate, is the global nature of the International Association of Movers Conference. How many countries do you expect to be represented this fall in Vegas?
So typically we expect more than 110 countries from around the world. Last year we had 114. Some of it is dependent on, proximity to Asia versus proximity to Europe. But in general, we're about 110, between 110 and 120.
Do you find that like the Europeans give up if they have to go past the Mississippi?
They don't give up. They just may send fewer people.
Mm.
And similar to Asia, they'll still come. I think companies in general, they'll still come, but maybe it impacts, the number of people they send. Many people send 1 to 2 people, and then it's kind of the bigger companies, they may, instead of sending 5, they may send 4, or vice versa, send that additional person if it's a little bit closer, a little bit cheaper to get the person to that venue. So really,
so is this going to be like
this is going to
be Asia heavy, Oceania perhaps heavy conference?
I think we will. Asia's rising for sure, and each year we have more and more members joining from Asia. So we're seeing more and more people from, particularly the Middle East, join the conference. I mean, we have 71 member companies in Dubai alone, and 78 companies in the United Arab Emirates. And those companies travel quite extensively. They're very they come to our conference. They do a lot of participate in a lot of the stuff that IAM does, and we're getting more and more participation from India, Indonesia, some of these rising economies in the Eastern Hemisphere for sure. So,
how many companies are members of IAM?
We are just over 2,200 member companies.
Wow.
So,
and what percentage typically attend the conference?
It's probably about 40% of our member companies, attend the conference. So you take about 600 to 800 companies, depending on the venue, and then some of the additional people who attend from there.
I love it. Get in the comments, check in with us. I want to give you a shout out. Let us know who you are, where you are, what company you represent. Lauren Turner checking in off the plane from SRRC.
Looked like a fun event down there.
Yeah. Was it Orlando, Lauren? Was it good? Did you hit the photo 360 photo booth thing?
I saw Steve Herron from Aversal doing that.
And Janet Turner over there.
Janet was down there. Yeah, sure.
I love it. Scott Chapman, what's up, Chappie from Prime Linden? Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good to see you. Golf carts are a secret. Yeah, we're just we're spilling all the tea here today, Adrian, not to be shared with anyone else.
Well, I'm curious from the audience what questions they have. Obviously, I'm going to do my best Chuck White impersonation today, but it really, what I love about your show, Ben, and what you do with your audience is you facilitate them and bring them out and make them the star. So I'm really curious what questions people have from the audience, and be as responsive to them and interactive as we can.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of which, Megan, throw a question in there. Sandra Claire's always got a hard-hitting question about the expo hall. She does. If you haven't been to an IAM conference, it is unreal. It is the largest conference in the global mobility ecosystem. I say that with confidence, having gone to, probably 15 out of the last 17 conferences. I had 2 kids in between. My bad. Didn't plan properly.
Same.
Lauren, Chappie, if you got questions, Adrian, Annie, love to hear your thoughts and questions as well for Brian. But I've got a question for you, Mr. President, if I may be so bold as to approach the office of the president with a question. What's it been like? This is your first conference that you're planning. Obviously, the conference is the cornerstone kind of piece that everyone looks at, the most visible piece. What's it been like now? Not having the luxury of throwing stones and the Monday morning quarterbacking and Chuck's decisions, but now having to be the one out there calling the plays. What's it been like?
Well, just know that if it goes well, I'm going to take all the credit, and if it goes poorly, I'm just going to blame everything on Chuck. But it's a huge task. Obviously, it's one of the chief benefits. that we deliver for our members, to bring the whole moving industry together, and other parts of the industry together under one roof in one place, so you can meet and visit your partners this year in Las Vegas instead of having to go all over the place to kind of meet and try and sell and market and meet with those people. So that benefit is really important. And I want to make sure that this year we do it really well, that we're providing really meaningful networking opportunities. I think we're being very intentional with how we structure our agenda and our schedule, that we're trying to deliver conversations that are responsive to what's going on in the industry right now. And man, there's so much uncertainty in the industry right now, and
no way.
You don't say, right? But I really believe that when people get together and can talk about the issues and the problems and put their heads together, we can find great solutions. And that's the reason why associations exist. So that's really our focus this year. And we're doing everything that we can to provide the best possible experience for our attendees this year in Vegas.
All right, we got questions coming up. You ready?
Bring it.
Speaking of agenda, Megan says, what's the agenda? HSA panel?
So the agenda, typically, so Megan, huge advocate for the military spouse community. And that we have always a number of sessions about what's going on in the U.S. military moving program, the U.S. military moving program. And this year will be no different. I'm working with Dan Bradley and our committees to kind of put that together. Now, how we engage HomeSafe at the conference still is yet to be determined. We're kind of working through that right now.
Are they going to get up there and answer questions? Because they were trying to answer questions last year and it got a little dicey. You think they're going to actually show up and answer questions?
Well, that's really up to them. They will for sure be invited to our conference. And, we are trying to, at CMSA last week, they attended. Caleb Mixon got up in front of the audience and had an open forum where he was asked questions by the audience. And it was good to get that information from Caleb and from HomeSafe. So I don't know exactly how it will take shape at our conference this year because we're still so many months away, but we are having those conversations and figuring out how we can, the industry needs the information about this critical change. And also making sure that, we are able to bring voices from each of the stakeholder groups that have an interest in this huge change to the military moving program. So more to come on that, but rest assured they will be invited. They will be invited to participate, to attend, and hopefully share more information about this huge change to the industry. And I know, Ben, you had Will Joyce on, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, to kind of talk through. He was one of the first moves awarded, Joyce Van Lines.
And to be clear, it was a local move. Was it in Indiana? It was a local move. It wasn't a long distance move. It was an intrastate move. And it was more, I think, about validating like that the process worked for sending the order out and all that. And so, yeah.
So it's interesting to see that moves are starting to flow. As you said, it's only local moves at this point. Some of the logistics are relatively simple with local moves, but that's part of the process, is start easy and then ramp up and see how the rollout increases and goes from where it is today to what it might be in October. And so we're going to be watching that very closely and obviously compiling our questions and getting the input from our members about what they're seeing as well in the industry with regards to this new change.
Keep these questions coming. Questions about who should attend, questions about panels and educational opportunities, expo questions,
put them in there. If there's suggestions that you have that you would like to see incorporated, no guarantees, but you can always put them out there and have your voice be heard. Got a question here from Lauren Turner out of the DC area, your neck of the woods. Brian, got the name right. That's one. Do you think it's worth any other supply chain segments attending, aka temp housing? Asking for a friend.
Yeah, Ben, I would get your perspective on this. I know for a fact that, but we have relocation management companies attending our conference, and obviously moving is a big part of that supply chain as well as temp housing. So you will have the opportunity to engage with other parts of the relocation supply chain as well as the bookers, the clients there, and we are striving. And Ben's been a big part of this in years past, helping us to bring corporate clients and other RMCs to our conference, so we can deepen the value proposition for our members when they're on site. Yeah. So,
I'd like to take that question, actually, Brian.
Please.
At the pleasure of the president. First of all, hit that like button, get in the comments, ask questions. Love this question from Lauren. So typically it's not a conference that temp housing has a big presence in, right? It's a movers conference. However, to Brian's point earlier, there are buyers there and there is like zero competition for you, right? Whereas like you might go to a, WERC or CHPA or, Euro or whatever, right? And there's a room full of temp housing providers. You would literally be probably one of the only temp housing providers in the United States there, right? So if you book like nationwide, you might find a lot of buyers, both relocation management company buyers, as well as entities from overseas that function much like a relocation management company functions, who might have people coming into the US that need housing, and you can arrange that housing. Similarly, those same people might be boots on the ground in markets overseas and operate temporary housing over there that you could use as partners as well. So I think that I always like to be the only one doing something in a room versus being one of many and having to like differentiate yourself among 8 other DC based temp housing firms. So I like it. And I think lastly, Lauren, of your kind of strategic mindset and networking ability will find opportunity in that room.
Yeah. See, that's what I love about you, Ben, is like you understand I think you have an understanding of all aspects of the mobility supply chain, which is something that I'm trying to get out and do a little bit more of, is kind of engage a little bit more with Worldwide ERC and some of these other supply chains that are funneling up to the corporate client and the RMC, because I think that's be able to connect the dots between those two entities are really important.
Lauren, it looks like she's sold.
Right. Lauren, I'm reaching out to you and JJ right after this. I'll get you involved.
Speaking of which, we got more questions coming. Get in the comments. We are giving good to great answers today, so feel free to ask questions.
Brad's giving great answers, Brian. Just good. Is that what it is?
Stuff goes sideways. Just.
And where is Julia? What happened to Julia with this whole thing?
You know what, Julia? We've been talking about attendance lately with that one. Sandra Claire, I'm just kidding. We love Julia. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. I want to hear your questions about the IAM conference. We are answering them live. Sandra Clary says, "What day will the?" I love Sandra. God bless Sandra. I love you. Sandra says, "What day will the pre-look of the sponsorships and the expo floor come out?" We weren't certain if third week of May counted the partial week.
I think our tentative date right now, Sandra, is May 21. I was looking at the prospectus this morning, making sure we got that EDC package squared away. But May 21 is what I'm looking at right now for. So I guess it is a partial week, Ben, because May 20th is that Monday.
They set their clocks at EDC based on the dropping of the schedule and sponsorship opportunities at IAM. I mean, it's like everybody else is like checking for the eclipse. They're checking for the sponsorship drop.
Yeah, EDC is Sandra, I love you. Love the whole EDC gang over there. And if you want some more information, reach out to us. We can give you whatever questions you're looking for. We can give you some information. Right now, we're scheduled to go live with registration and booth sales, sponsorship sales June 3rd.
Now, we all kidding aside, because I love joking about stuff. But Sandra's on to something, because the Expo Hall size in Toronto last year for the 1,800 plus people that were in there last year.
Yep.
Was how big?
125,000 square feet.
It was freaking car show big. It was.
Yeah.
We did a walkthrough in the spring, and it was a freaking international auto show there. Okay, that's how big it was. I mean, it's mega big. So you got inventive. You're putting hockey rinks in there. You're having fun. You're doing wild stuff. You're building beer gardens. You're also stuff because you got fluff. You got space. You got space to do stuff. Not in Vegas, right? Yep. Vegas is going to be much more at a premium.
Mm-hmm.
So those spots are going to be. I mean, I'm assuming you do a first come first serve. I mean, it's going to be a lot more competitive getting those choice spots, isn't it, Brian?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're going to be about a quarter of the size that Toronto was this year in Vegas. And that's part of it. Every single year, each different property offers some real benefits and some, things that we have to work around. This year, the Expo Hall won't be as big. So everybody who's tuning in right now, you are getting, you have kind of a front row seat, and
there's actually a discount code for 20% off of your Expo Hall or sponsorship package.
Something like that. Yeah. So, but you guys in the audience know that you need to log in. If you want that booth or that sponsorship, you got to be ready to go on June 3rd, because space is going to book out very quickly. And if you want to make that splash at our conference in front of our 2,000 attendees and be in that Expo Hall in the space you want to be, you got to get in there right on June 3rd when we launch and make sure that it is you get the spot you want.
Look at my dad coming in here with the value props.
Love it.
Thanks, Dad. Look at Dan in Tulsa checking in. Got any Tulsa companies that are members, or does Dad have is Dad the first one out there in T-Town?
22. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know we got
the spot there. Dad, you might want to go check
agents.
the mobility exchange and see who's in the area service in that area.
But I mean, your dad's in Tulsa. I'm assuming everything's okay. There's been a lot of bad weather in Tornado Alley. I'm hoping he hadn't had to deal with any of that over the past few days.
I don't know. You should call him.
You should call him.
Yes. Sandra says, don't hate the attention to detail, but stop giving away the secrets, Ben. Come on. They got a leg up. They're actually like on time. Like, most movers, like, I got a 2-hour ETA. No, EDC's like on your doorstep at like
Sandra's a pro.
7:59. Ding dong. Here we are. Tim Quirk, my driveway's getting sealed June 3rd. Can we move to the 4th?
Tim, we can talk offline. Make sure come with some cash if you want to move it.
That's great. Tim's got an actual comment here as well. Just an observation about the dichotomy and the presidential styles here. He said he caught you out there in Hawaii. Obviously, you're doing good work out there.
It's hard work.
But have people? I mean, what's that like? I mean, the adjustment from you have. I remember back in the Terry Head days, right? I mean, Terry was just this amazing leader that really set the tone and did this amazing thing from a continuity standpoint, succession planning standpoint, and everybody knew Chuck and was super comfortable with Chuck, and he had this way about him. He's super likable, and now having to follow in those footsteps. And I know you kind of said, these are going to be some big shoes to fill. I mean, he was an athlete, but what are your, now you're in it, you're 6 months in it, depending on, when we decide Chuck's last day was. And what are your thoughts now on, from a stylistic standpoint, from a vision standpoint? I mean, what are the things that you want to do with some of the learnings you have in your first 2 quarters?
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a challenge. I mean, Terry was both Terry and Chuck. I I'm biased. Huge parts of my life, important mentors, and they both had their different styles. As you said, Terry was a little bit more stoic. Chuck, as we all know, is a lot more outgoing, extroverted, can't stop talking. That's Chuck, right? And I was thinking about how we've done this Love and Relo together with you for the last several years. And it's kind of weird not to have Chuck on with us. But I think for the first few months, it's really been about finding my voice and expressing my vision a little bit, and that is a challenge for sure. But it's really, I wouldn't say it's a departure. It's more of a continuation of kind of the legacy that Terry gave to Chuck and Chuck gave to me. And we were talking before this, Ben, about the vision for the conference, and one thing that I kind of want to highlight, that one new thing I'm doing. I'm not making huge changes this year, and I don't anticipate making huge changes in the future, but each year the conference has to evolve. And one thing that I'm looking to do is, I think we do a really good job at IAM of bringing the industry together, but maybe we can do a better job of creating opportunities for people to meet more efficiently. And what I mean by that is people build out these very elaborate schedules before they come to IAM and say, I'm going to meet with this person for 30 minutes. I'm going to meet with this person for 30 minutes, day after day after day for 4 days. And in general, I think that's great, and that's the value of our meeting. But one thing that we can do better is, I think we can use technology to create a more efficient experience, and then do something that is done in a lot of other conferences around the world, which is the one-to-one networking, where you have a preset table for that meeting and you know exactly where you're going to meet that person. And you say, at 2:00, I'm going to meet you at table 2, and you meet for 20 to 25 minutes, and then you have 5 minutes to get to your next meeting. And that is providing a lot of value to our members who attend conferences in other parts of the world. And I think that's an important direction for us to take. So this year we are trialing out a one-to-one networking session, and we're going to see how it goes. If it goes well and we get good feedback, maybe we do a longer session next year.
Is this like speed dating? Like, what is this like, one-to-one network? Is this like the suites that people would get, and they'd bring all their suppliers up, and you get 30 minutes to get hit over the head with a shovel about your rates and your performance for the year prior? Or what are we talking about exactly? I mean, I have one-on-ones a lot in the bar. How's this different?
Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of a mix of everything you just said. I mean, really, it's not speed networking where you're standing up and going to the next table and you don't know who you're meeting with next. Mm-hmm. It's really about you being able to control your schedule, control who you want to meet with, and know that you will have a table and a chair to meet with that person at the time you agreed.
Yeah.
And so
do I have privacy, or like if I want to meet with HomeSafe, but I want to pretend like I'm not meeting with HomeSafe, like, do I have privacy, or how does that work?
Not this year, but that's a way it could evolve in the future, where you could have dedicated space. But that is a concern that has been expressed, and that is one reason that the suites are used in some cases, is because people don't necessarily want to know who's meeting with everybody. But one of my goals is, can we get people out of the suites? Can we get them into a central place where they're all mixing and meeting up with each other, creating those serendipitous moments where you might have a few minutes with somebody, where you might meet them unexpectedly, and it blossoms into a friendship or a business relationship. But that's when you go to a really good conference, that is a characteristic of a really good conference, is everybody meeting, mingling in the same place. And so that's a challenge that I think we do a good job of it already. But if I think about ways we can improve the value of our event, it's right there, is cutting down on some of the inefficiencies between meetings, trying to find the person you want to meet with, et cetera, et cetera.
All right. I want to ask everybody out there, right? You said I could, so I'm going to do it. Okay. What is one thing that you would add to the IAM conference? We've got people we've probably got 1,000 conferences represented right now, and the people watching this. What's one thing you would add to the IAM conference? Ray Abbott, I see you out there. What's up, Ray from Canada? Tim Quirk, Sandra Clary. Dad, you don't get to weigh in on this one. Lauren Turner. Dad will have it in Tulsa. Janet Turner, Megan. What's one thing that you would add to the conference or would like to see at the conference? I'd really like to know. I like this concept of put it in the comments here, and I want to throw it out to Brian and see what he thinks. I like this concept of this this one-on-one network, because like if you're in the booth, like say, because I mean some people might say those serendipitous moments are created at the expo hall booth, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're walking by and you grab them, you give them the old obligatory Tulsa shot of tequila, make them wear a sombrero, spin around 3 times, take a picture, I mean, that stuff happens, right? But if you want to sit down and start talking rates or start talking capacity or whatever, you need the ability to sit down and really do that. And then you're in the middle of that, and somebody walks up, and you're getting interrupted, and you never get a chance to actually. One of the things that I'm challenged with, I just went to a conference recently, and I found that I was making all of these connections with people, and right when I started to like discover, like I started to go a little deep beyond the like superficial, how's the weather, when'd you get in kind of stuff, I got like, and the people were like, hey, we should talk. And then as soon as they would say, hey, we should talk, like somebody else comes in the conversation and we're back to how's the weather, what time did you get in, how's business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I never got a chance to circle back and talk to that person. And then the buzz wears off and you go back to work. Yep. And so it's like to your point, I want to be able to go deep with people. Do you think that this accomplishes that?
The members will tell us this year if that accomplishes it. My gut is that it will, that it's being used in other industry conferences now. And a lot of our members who attend those conferences get a lot of value out of that. And so, that's kind of what we're looking to kind of test out this year. Does it work? Does it not? And that's, going back to Terry and Chuck. I mean, they've always kind of taken, kind of tested out different things over the years and saw what works and what doesn't work. And so that's one thing that, we're going to check out this year. And is that one way we can advance the value proposition?
I love it. All right, let's keep it going here. Get in the comments what's one thing you might add or want to see at the IAM conference. Janet Turner's got one here. I'm going to keep reading these. We got an opportunity to put Brian on the spot here, give him feedback here. Janet says, I miss the hotels with one bar site where everyone gathers.
Mm-hmm.
Just want everyone in the same place under one roof like the old days.
Me too. This year we're going to have in Vegas, there's going to be a bunch of bars on site, but you're going to be close to each other, but there are going to be a bunch of bars not too far away from each other, but you are going to run into people throughout that property. Now, it's not going to be that one big bar, but wherever you go in that hotel, you're going to be running into IAM members for sure. But yes, I mean, we were in Atlanta 2 years ago, and I think that was one of the upsides of Atlanta was everybody kind of hung out at that Hyatt,
that big bar,
And, again, it's all about getting everybody into one place and kind of maximizing the surface area for a connection. Right. And so that's kind of what we're trying to do here in Vegas, as well as in future years, Janet.
All right, let's keep it going here. What's one thing you would add to the IAM conference or hope to see? I feel like I'm hosting Family Feud here. Let's see if it's on the big board here. Sandra Clary says, several thoughts. She's always a 2-for-1. One easy one. Have a QR associated with contact info on the conference ID without making the name smaller. Easy actioning of follow-ups.
Yeah, so we're bringing forth a new mobile app this year, which I think is actually going to be far superior than what we had last year. And I can't remember if we have that exact functionality on it this year, Sandra. I'll follow up with with our tech team on that and see if that is something that we are doing this year. I think they have that functionality if I can remember from the demo, but I don't remember exactly.
Well, I mean, this has been around for a while with the QR codes, and then what you would do as an upcharge to the exhibitors, you'd give them a QR code scanner. Of course, now you can just take a picture with your phone, I guess. So there's that. But I do agree with what Sandra's saying with the names. Make the names really big. I think sometimes we just forget to do that. Especially that first name and or company name needs to be really massive. The other thing, Sandra, I don't know if you know this. I was at a conference recently and somebody showed me this. If you bump iPhones with somebody, your contact info automatically swaps.
The question then is like, is it, because I've seen that, Ben, it's like that old bump technology, right?
It's automatic.
Yeah.
But all it is phone number. It's name and phone number. It's not company. It's not email.
So where does it go? Is it in like an actionable place? And I think
in contacts. It just goes right to your contacts.
So but you have to make a note to yourself that you got it, right? And that's where you're following up.
No, I mean what I did is we'd bump phones. It goes, you feel like a little cool and like a flood of light comes on it, and then you're like, oh snap, Brad Limperopulos, phone number blah, right? And that's what I text. I'm like, yo, Brad, it's nice meeting you. And then what I do, because I'm extra, is I hit him with a selfie, like, yo, it's me and Brad here chilling, you know. And then now we got like a whole rapport thing built up, and then I work my text messages like a CRM almost of people I gotta follow up with.
You got the whole thing figured out there.
Hey, I'm just a guy trying to figure it out, you know. Yeah. But I mean that's what Sandra's got another one for you. I hope you're writing these down. Where's Julia? She says, I love the networking is when it's centralized. Meaningful connection is about as much the fun and non-official engagement, and no one wants to miss out on where others are hanging. We need the phone scannability because some people are rocking Android still, and we love them anyway.
Got it. So I will say, I think we're going to have some amazing events this year. So Cosmo has, for our opening reception, I'm really excited about our social events this year. Our opening reception is going to be on the Cosmo has this amazing pool deck, and it overlooks the Strip. So you can see the Paris Hotel, you can see the Bellagio. It's a great place to take photos. It's, usually the weather is amazing in Vegas in October. So it's going to be a really great venue for our opening reception when everybody gets there. We'll, of course, be having our official after party hosted by the DAB in support of Move for Hunger, our friends at Move for Hunger.
Where's this party going to be at? Do you know yet?
It's going to be in the Cosmo. It's going to be.
But is it going to be at the club, the Marquee Club or whatever? Or is it going to be in the Speakeasy by the barbershop?
No. It's going to be in a secret location.
Like a Speakeasy in a barbershop?
It's going to be something like that. Yeah. I don't want to give it away, Ben.
This is what we do. Why would anybody tune in if we're not giving the stuff away here? You know,
I'm
free registration. Oh, okay.
So that and have you ever been to Beer Park?
Beer Park? No, like beer you drink park?
Beer Park is the bar that overlooks the Bellagio at the Paris Hotel complex, and that's where we are holding the YP social mixer this year.
At Paris on the rooftop under the Eiffel Tower? Yes, I have been to that.
Yes.
That's a nice venue.
That's going to be a really fun time. And
that rocks.
I'll throw in a plug for our other. So we support Move for Hunger with the DAB, the after party after the opening reception. And then we're supporting our Allen F. Willis-Stetter Scholarship Fund with our YP social mixer. YP stands for Young Professional. Even though
but it's open to everybody. It's open
to
me too, right? Like I'm 41. Yeah. Can I say what's the official YP cutoff?
It's 40. You can turn 40 in your last year.
What if we use a lot of slang?
if you're keeping it 100 or saying bruh a lot, no, we can't. We can make an exception for you, Ben.
Janet says, "Where's the OP60 party happen? Is there a nice Chardonnay court somewhere?"
That'll be in the speakeasy that Ben was talking about.
Janet's gonna renew. Janet and I are gonna renew our vows in Vegas at the Little White Chapel.
You know what? We gotta put that in our marketing. Is if you get married, you gotta let us know.
Free reg. You're getting married. Free reg. Everything's free.
Wedding
free
gift
reg.
from IAM.
Adam Sotelo will make you a wedding video. Oh gosh, I'll make the conference retrospect. I wanted to do that one year. There was a conference in Vegas, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do like a bachelor for the industry? Like, you know, because you got these eligible bachelors and bachelorettes, you know, floating around. You're like, hey, why don't we do like a little thing leading up? We can do a rose ceremony, and then boom, somebody picks somebody, and let's selfishly, but
I gotta up my rose budget this year. Gotta do my best.
You only gotta buy a few roses. I mean, how many people? You know, only a few. You'll be all right. All right, here's something I want to see at IAM. I want to see. Call me crazy. I want to see buyers. I want to see buyers at IAM. That's something in the past that we did. That IAM, you know, did. Glomo partnered on it, bringing buyers to the table. You know, folks, RMCs, you know, corporate folks, people that buy services. I feel like sometimes it's movers lying to movers at the bar. I know mover swap business, OADA work, interlines, yada, yada. But I want buyers. I want to get closer to the dollar. Nothing burns my biscuits like some mover saying, yeah, I do corporate relocation work, and they just do DA work in Botswana. No, you want to get to the buyer. You want to get the whole dollar or whatever currency you have. I want to see buyers.
So yeah, we're gonna be bringing people from, you know, buyers. So we have different sectors of the business. So from the military side, we talked about Home Safe, but of course the folks with the Defense Personal Property Program, the government, State Department folks, GSA, corporate folks, RMCs, focusing on the different, you know, sectors of the business, and, you know, hoping and making sure that we get people there, not just to attend, but to speak, to engage. There are, Ben, you talked about, you know, in your role, like you want to see those people there. You want to have an opportunity to talk to them. But we're also trying to do some big things at IAM where we need all segments of the industry to engage. It can't just be the movers, or it can't just be the suppliers. We need the clients to engage, because, you know, we're facing some big challenges in the industry, and there are things that, you know, I believe that we can do a little bit differently to make the experience for our customers better. So I think from a networking standpoint, from a learning standpoint, and from just a general mission standpoint, bringing those buyers to the table is really important.
Yeah, I'm gonna look for that this year. I'm curious to see how that's executed, and it might be something worth revisiting in the future. I think that, you know, I think one year we had a state of the industry meeting with like 100,000 shipments, corporate shipments on the panel between like 3 or 4 RMCs. They were pretty mega, and I thought that was impactful. So love that idea. I think we could do the same thing with corporate folks, depending on the venue. New York might be a good place to do that with so many headquarters there. Vegas is kind of crap, to be honest, for corporate work. You know, there's not a lot out there. No offense to Zappos and those people. Anyway, all right. You know what else I want to see? Get in the comments here. Let us know what you want to see at IAM. Let us know what you're looking forward to. Check in with us. Let us know who you are, where you are, what company you're with. We're giving shout outs here. Hit that like button.
So Ben, I'll ask you, and, you know, by extension to your audience here, but what you go to a lot of conferences, and what was one thing that really kind of stood out to you or made an impact on you in terms of business or personal? Because it's not just business. You're also, I think, you create a relationship with your customer, with your member, through creating impactful events. And so that can be both social personal as well as business and professional?
Yeah, it's great question. Great question. I have a really good answer for you. So a lot of times we bring these experts to a conference and then we put a panel of them up there and they're trying to learn from each other, which is okay. But to be honest, like it's like preaching to the choir because you're telling movers how to be good at moving. And it's like, yeah, buddy, I'd rather go have a beer. The thing that always was the most highly rated for different conferences and associations I've been a part of, been on planning committees and things like that. The number one highest rated session every single year was the keynote done by somebody outside the industry. It was a inspirational, motivational talk about becoming a better person and a better professional that moved people emotionally, stimulated you intellectually, made you reconnect to your purpose, energized you, filled your cup. Those are always the number one rated. And I love that kind of stuff. I get jazzed about it. I just did a TED Talk recently. I love that kind of stuff. And I feel like it's underrated or glossed over sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not something we've ever, well, in my time, I've been with IAM 15 years. We've never done something like that. But, it's definitely something as we continue to evolve the conference because, I don't want to make too many changes, but year over year, can we add more value is something I'll be looking for. And just because we did something last year doesn't mean we have to do something this year. So that's a good idea. I'm curious what else the audience has.
Yeah. Audience out there. What is the most memorable thing that's ever happened at a conference? Work safe, of course. Put it in the comments here. Let us know if you've ever had a transformative moment or learned something incredible. What's the most value you've ever gotten from a conference experience? We've got Janet, Sandra. We got some amazing people out there.
And I'll say, like, one thing that we're trying to lean into a little bit is instead of having panels and PowerPoints, getting away from panels and PowerPoints and doing more small group collaborative discussions. That I think we go to a lot of conferences and we and IAM is very guilty of this, and we watch, like you said, Ben, a bunch of people on stage talk about what we know. And in general, I get a lot of benefit from learning people's names in small group settings, hearing their perspective as well as somebody else's perspective, and being able to build connections between the different points people are making. And so you kind of level up as a group and everybody gets a chance to participate. And it's not just a learning opportunity, it's also a networking opportunity, because that's a great way to learn people's names and faces and get a sense of who somebody is.
Yeah. One of the best sessions I was ever at, it was a conference that I helped put together, but it was a virtual conference. So we had to get really creative because you don't get the bar experience, right? And one of the things we did was a design thinking. We did a design thinking session where we basically set up a interactive platform and everybody is an avatar, but we could all like basically put sticky notes in different areas, right? And we collaborate with ideas. And by the end, a design thinking expert who was basically facilitating this would take us through phases of the design thinking process. Everybody collaborates, and then we skinny it down to like 3 important things. And then we go to the next phase, and then we build on that, and then skinny all that down to 3 things. So by the end of it, you've done about an hour of this where we all collaborate. Our voices are all heard, and we come away with some really interesting ideas as a group. And when I think about the problems that the association is trying to tackle, like the interchange, data interchange, or data standardization and interoperability, right? Like when I think about stuff like that and the fact that we have to gain a quorum with everybody there and everybody's got opinions and objections, and ideas, those types of things might be interesting.
Yeah, we did something like that for that initiative last year, but I think we can do it better and we can do it bigger, because that really is, and Ben, you're talking about our data solutions initiative where we all operate software systems and we all need access to the client's data as well as we need to report that data back to, the ultimate client. So whether you're in temp housing or moving or other things, we all have the same needs when it comes to serving the client, and that regards the data associated with it. So then you have a software system, I have a software system. You ask me to do work for you, I do work for you, I got to exchange data back to you. And so right now, that's, unless we have an integration, it's a pretty inefficient process, and it's also insecure. And trying to build that bridge, not just between our companies, but across the industry, is the focus of that data solutions initiative, and create that future where we reduce our costs, we reduce the exposure of the client's data, and we make sure that we're protecting it as much as we can. So that's a big focus of ours right now, and will be a big focus of ours at the conference.
Yeah. Along those lines, get in the comments here. Let us know what ideas you have that you'd like to see at a conference, or one of the best things you've ever been a part of and seen. Megan says breakout rooms that have a specific topic with a designated moderator. I think this is really interesting. I think this gets back to the fact that helping the crowd to contribute to one idea and facilitate it, because as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, which the IAM body is there's a lot of owners, there's a lot of principals there. We want to be heard. We don't want to sit there and ingest. We want to be active participants in the ideation. And I think that's hard to do, but it's incredibly rewarding when we can accomplish it.
Yeah, when I took over from Chuck, I wrote a message out to our membership, and basically saying just that. Like, I can't speak to the same level that Chuck White could about some of these industry issues, but what I can do is try and facilitate more of our members to come forward and help us collectively arrive at the answers, and try and fill that gap in that way.
And I think that that's one of the things that I've really appreciated that you all have done with me, frankly, and recognizing my talents as a moderator and the ability to pull ideas out and get people talking. It's kind of one of the differences in between Love and Relo and a standard webinar, is that we try to prioritize the input from the people that are watching it. And I think it makes a much more rewarding experience for the audience. Shout out to Sandra getting involved here. I love it. The panels, I see that people really learn and enjoy when there is open Q&A. Again, yes, with subject matter experts who provide real, not repeat and canned. Yes, it can feel very stale sometimes. Info, even for the larger attendance situations. By the way, I remember that design thinking session. That was a fun exercise.
Was that something? Did you do that with the guy from? I can't remember his name, from Pivot.
Yeah, Chris? he was at Ayers at the time.
Yeah.
Chris Roberts. In Pivot. He's the COO, I think, now currently over there. Really sharp dude. Really good at design thinking. It is a skill. Facilitating.
Yeah. If you go through any session where there's a really good facilitator, it's like, wow, they've unlocked the room. Like you said, it's an amazing skill for those who are good at it.
I think we oftentimes, as conference planners, and I've been guilty of this myself, is we overemphasize the experience of the people on the panel, i.e. we're going to put the CEO of this company, 40 years, we put them on the panel instead of people who are dynamic speakers, who are dynamic facilitators, who can really deliver things in an interesting way. I think the professionals actually do a really nice job with it. Here's one other one actually that I wrote down as something I'd love to see. We work on at any given time probably 30, 40 jobs at any given time within the entire global mobility space, from business immigration to temp housing to relocation management companies, tax to moving. Okay, here at Glomo, 60% plus of our jobs right now are moving jobs in the commercial relocation, in the commercial office moving sales discipline. Niche down. That one role is so predominant right now. And I think that it's
telling where the industry sees growth and where they're willing to invest with obvious headwinds. And I would be remiss if I didn't say I think that there should be something around office moving.
And do you see that as part of it? Obviously, there's growth there, Ben. And what's driving that? Is it companies downsizing existing offices to smaller offices? Is it now people coming back into offices with the return to work? Like, what are you hearing from your clients?
Yeah, great question. So the decommissioning of office spaces has largely been achieved. Now it's the recommissioning, the ramp back up, right? It's the same thing we saw with the talent pool in 21 and 22 after COVID, was this massive pent up demand for talent. And now everybody's rushing to go hire people. So recruiting was incredible. And now they've recruited them, and they recruited them remotely. But now it's like, oh, crap, we need you back in the office. I mean, we're literally doing this here at Global. It's a microcosm of industry. But we're pulling people back in the office. We're staffing here. So I'm about to knock down a wall over there and build out some cubicles. I got to buy those cubicles now. I got to put those things together, you know. So, I mean, we're doing it. I think that there's this recommissioning. I think there's a reconfiguring of what's going on. I think that there are massive projects to retrofit office buildings into residential spaces, for instance, and vice versa, right? So there's just there's a mall down the street, you know, it's like that old Chris Rock skit about the good mall turns into the bad mall, and then the bad mall now turns into apartments, right? But now you got to put a toilet in every store, whereas before you didn't have to. So there's a lot of going on. And fortunately, movers are not being left behind in this, but they're finding opportunities. There's that. And then the second piece of this, and this is more on the logistics side of this, not to kind of conflate these things, but it's another growth area, is the last mile delivery, home delivery space right now is just on fire with the Wayfairs and the Home Depots and ordering everything on Amazon. I mean, and that stuff's not being delivered by the UPS truck. It's being delivered by last mile logistics companies, which look a lot like moving companies, except they make 10 stops a day instead of 2. But they're using box trucks in warehouses, and they're doing a lot of touches, and they're using.
Marianne Passy from who was with Chippa is now with the Customized Logistics and Delivery Association, which is the trade association for final mile delivery. It's one of several. So that's a place where we've had discussions about how do we can make those connections between the assets we have in our membership to the business that's happening over there. But I think you're right, Ben. And I think about, long-term economic trends, and what was once retail space is now being converted over to, and office space is now being converted because we need housing in this country. We really need housing in this country. And, I think when you first brought it up, it was like, okay, maybe this is like a short-term thing. But if you think about it, there's probably a long-term trend here where a lot of buildings need to be turned over into more residential facilities.
I agree with that. And I will also say people won't live in ugly spaces anymore. And everyone needs updated everything. And it's true on the residential side, but it's true on the hotel side. It's true on the office side. If you've got ugly, dated hotel furniture, your room rates might be $50 less per night because you got green carpet and mahogany dressers instead of like gray dressers and gray carpet or whatever the trend is, right? So you're seeing these massive hotel chains go in and take 500 beds, 500 dressers, 500 desks, 500 office chairs out, and do these massive renovation projects. Hotels are doing it, hospitals are doing it, offices are doing it. Everybody's doing it right now, and giving just massive facelifts. So I think that there's that part of it as well. There's a lot going on right now in that area, and I think a lot of movers are hurting right now that are just doing residential household goods or corporate work, even military work. We're seeing consolidation. We're seeing people going out of business.
Huge.
you said, you mentioned that to me, offline. It just a lot of companies are becoming insolvent. I'm seeing a lot on the M&A side where companies are buying other companies right now. It's huge, but there's still massive opportunities. When I was just up at AMJ Campbell last year up in Canada, they got 30 locations.
Oh, yeah.
And they have massive final mile logistics businesses for Wayfair and whatnot. Meanwhile, I know tons of other moving companies that say they can't do their work. It's not profitable. It doesn't work. But there's nuance there that needs to be understood in order to make it work.
Yeah, for sure. That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, for sure. We got Hosea Botley checking in. Hit that like button, y'all. Good to see Hosea and a Versal. Hosea, we'll see you in Vegas at the conference. Can't wait.
Saw Hosea a few weeks ago at the GWERC meeting here in Washington, D.C.
You were talking at the work. You weren't just twerking at the work, were you? You were talking.
I don't just twerk at the work. I was facilitating a panel there. So
nice.
Doing our industry updates across from, we heard about the NAR settlement. We heard about mortgage rates, supply chain issues, all sorts of stuff going on in the wider relocation and mobility space. So good meeting there with the GWERC meeting.
Brian, I know we're running short on time. You have a lot of presidential duties to attend to. Do you want to leave people maybe with just a final thought and maybe a call to action or next steps people can take?
Yeah, Las Vegas, October 14th through the 17th. Join us. Cosmopolitan Hotel is a tremendous property. We're going to have a great agenda, and I look forward to seeing you all there. If you're not a member, join IAM, and if you are a member, I'm grateful for your membership. Thank you.
Yeah, can't wait to see you in Vegas, everyone. It's going to be sick. All right, y'all. Take care. Talk to you next time.